So, with MLP still fresh in my mind, and when I say fresh on my mind, I mean I've watched, as of this recording today, I've watched the 100th episode about 5-6 times. Yeah, it was that damn good of an episode to me. So, I kind of want to talk about MLP Headcanon that I have, and not a lot of people talk about. Well, I know a lot of people talk about their headcanon. I once talked about headcanon I had, at least with certain characters I created, but I never really have gone too deep into my headcanon with the MLP universe. I've done that with Stormhawks, I've done that with several other fandoms that I'm a part of. This time, I'm just going to talk about one thing in my headcanon, until we see otherwise in the show, then that will change. But yeah, the fandom the headcanon I'm going to be talking about today is not really about the ponies in general. It's actually a race that I think we'll be seeing soon in this universe. I mean, we've seen all the other types of creatures in here, but I think it's a matter of time before we see these creatures in here, and those are goblins. Goblins are always an interesting thing, because I think more so than orcs or dwarves or elves in fantasy, goblins are very prone to change. They are the most prone creatures to change. I mean, goblins can use... Some people say goblins can use magic. They're small, they're big, they're the size of humans, they're ugly, they're pretty. There's so many different types of goblins, that people use. So, this is kind of my headcanon for my version of goblins in the MLP universe. Again, if they ever show up, then it'll be prone to change and my headcanon will be ruined. But this is just how I have goblins in my headcanon. And it's kind of weird, because I don't really see a lot of goblins in the MLP fandom. I see orcs, trolls, dragons. Well, dragons are a given, obviously. I've seen... Well, there's a lot of creatures in there I've seen that are from fantasy that have shown in the show, and there are some in there, like, I've seen a rock in... a rock, yeah, not, the boulder... Not boulder or anything, like... The Arabic mythology giant bird rock. I've seen those in a fanfiction. I've seen hippogriffs. I've seen so many other things. Not a lot of goblins again. So, anyway, let's get into the little headcanon I have. So, the headcanon kind of goes two ways, because I've kind of variated it between two different versions. The first headcanon for my goblins are that... Let's talk about their characteristics. My goblins are... They're as big as chimpanzees. They're more or less as big as they get around that size, and they actually move like chimps. They actually they actually spend more time up in trees than they do on the ground. They have prehensile feet. Their skin's like dark green, little brown blotches. Their noses are kind of thin and like pencil thin and long. Ears pointed backwards like bats, and they have excellent hearing. Yellow eyes that can see in the dark. Like their bottom jaws are hung down, like they're really low, and they have two big teeth that kind of protrude out from the bottom jaw, and they have like they wear ragged clothes like ropes on their belts. Then they move in family groups. They actually move around, and they're intelligent too. They're intelligent. They can speak. And, again, they're not very big. Like I said, they're about as big as chimpanzees. And they actually move on all four... They can move on two legs. They can actually move on two legs. But they have these large, muscular arms. And they can actually, when they want to pick up speed, when they run, they actually get on all fours and scurry off. They run off. But they're capable of walking on two legs, but when they want to pick up some speed, they get on all fours and haul ass. Or they just find a tree to climb up and, get up there. They also carry, like, daggers, knives, short swords, metal spears, very jagged, very rugged weapons. And they usually live... I kind of pictured them living in swamps. They live in, like, swampy areas or dense forests, usually eating meat. So, the main thing with them is that the goblins are, in my first version of them, is that goblins are very misunderstood. While they don't really have a lot of love for ponies, they don't really, they don't want to get into conflict with them either. But basically, during one story I kind of toyed around with was that Tyrek, during his time out of Tartarus, he caused a lot of damage, and the goblins' homes were wrecked, so they sought refuge near Ponyville. and they more or less made camp in Sweet Apple Acres, which did not bode well with the Apple family because they hated the goblins. They always told stories of how goblins would come out of the dark at night, steal ponies, run off with them to eat them or enslave them, and yeah, didn't really suit well, and it kind of led to a lot of tensions between Ponyville and the goblin camp. And however, it kind of had a friendly ending of the goblins dealing with a trash problem that was building up. Is that basically the town's system? The town's what's the word I'm looking for? The town's trash department kind of called strike, and now all this trash is piling up in the town. And goblins love to eat garbage, so the goblins are like, "Hey, you give us that garbage, I think we'll get along just fine." And happy ending for all. Second one, however, didn't have that different version. It was the same type of goblins, but they were a little more malicious. They were more aggressive. They were more like the stories had told, and they were very violent. They were violent, but not towards each other. They were more pissed off at ponies because ponies are probably the dominant race of this world. So they always kind of felt like they were the bottom of the totem pole, if you know what I mean. So there was that. And then finally, I also came up with hobgoblins. Hobgoblins in my headcanon were... Hobgoblins are a lot smaller. They're about the size of like maybe a monkey, like a capuchin monkey. Those are pretty small, or the size of a lemur, and they could also move like a ape. And they also, they were smaller. They were kind of like, they were lighter green skin and were more meeker. They were meeker. They were, they were more interested in just eating nuts and roots, whereas goblins had a more meatier diet. Whereas hobgoblins are the fruit eaters, and they were a little more peaceful. But hobgoblins, I made them to be a little mischievous. Whereas goblins could, snap on. It could turn on you if you piss them off good enough. So I just thought this would be a fun little way to bring out, some headcanon right there. Anyway, so you guys tell me, what do you guys think of this Goblin Headcannon? Oh, almost forgot. One more thing before I go any further. Forgot to mention that there was a Goblin King. Yeah, I created a Goblin King named Jarek. As a small pseudo-reference to Jareth from Labyrinth. But Jarek was this, he was a tall goblin, about 6 feet tall, size of a man, and I kind of envisioned him with, like, he looked like David Bowie, but green skin and the facial features of the goblins I mentioned. And yeah, so I thought that would be a lot of fun. So he was the Goblin King, and yeah. So anyway, once again, hope you all enjoy this. And you guys tell me, what do you guys think of this Goblin Headcannon I have? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Just comment below, let me know. And once again, hope you all enjoyed this. And maybe you want it, if you want, you can share some headcanon with me as well. Anyway, once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I'm out.